Your future will thank you. There was a boy named Leo, and he had a very big idea, an idea that was quiet and small at first, but it felt warm inside his heart. He looked at a piece of land near his house. It was an old piece of land. It was not pretty. It was full of gray stones and brown rocks. It had many tall weeds with sticky leaves. The ground was very dry and hard. No flowers grew there. No nice green grass grew there. It was just a sad, empty place. People walked past it every day. They did not look at it. It was not interesting. But Leo looked at it. He looked at it for a long time. He did not see the rocks and the weeds. He saw something else. In his mind, he saw a beautiful garden. He saw red flowers and yellow flowers. He saw green plants and tall trees. He saw butterflies flying in the air. This picture in his mind was so strong and so happy. So Leo made a decision. He decided he would make that garden. He did not have a lot of help. He did not have big machines. He only had his 2 hands, a small shovel, and a very old bucket. He told his family about his idea. They said, "Leo, that is very hard work. That land is very bad." Leo smiled and said, "I know, but I want to try." So the next morning, when the sun was just starting to wake up, Leo went to the land. He took his old bucket. He looked at all the stones. There were so many stones. He felt a little bit small, and the land felt very big. But he remembered the picture in his mind, the picture of the beautiful garden. So he started. He saw one small stone. It was gray and smooth. He bent down. He picked up the stone with his hand. The stone was a little cool from the night. He put the stone in his old bucket. The bucket made a small sound, clink. Then he saw another stone. This stone was brown and rough. It was bigger. He used 2 hands to pick up the bigger stone. It was a little heavy. He walked to the bucket and put the stone inside. Clunk. The bucket was now a little heavier. He saw a pile of small, white stones. He did not pick them up one by one. He used his hands like a scoop. He scooped up many small stones and put them in the bucket. He did this again and again. His back started to feel a little tired. The sun was getting higher in the sky. It was getting warmer. Leo wiped his face with his arm. He looked at the land. He had cleared a very, very small part. It was the size of a dinner plate. He looked at the big land full of stones. He took a deep breath. He did not stop. He saw another rock. This one was very big. It was too big for his bucket. He tried to lift it. It was too heavy. He pushed it. It did not move. He pushed it again with all his body. It moved a little bit. Inch by inch, he pushed the big rock to the side of the land. He was breathing hard. He was tired. But the big rock was gone from the middle. He felt good. He went back to the small stones. Pick up, walk, put in the bucket. Pick up, walk, put in the bucket. Soon the bucket was full. It was very heavy now. He could not carry it. He had to drag it. He dragged the heavy bucket to the edge of the land and tipped it over. All the stones fell out and made a big pile. He had 1 pile of stones now. He looked back at the land. There were still so many stones. So many more. He took his empty bucket and went back to work. He worked all morning. The sun was hot on his back. His hands were dirty. His knees were dirty. He was very, very tired. When the sun was right in the middle of the sky, he stopped. He had 5 piles of stones now. He had cleared a small corner of the land. It was not a big corner, but it was clear. It had no stones. He felt proud. The next day he came back. He did the same thing. He picked up stones. Big stones, small stones, gray stones, brown stones. He filled the bucket many times. He made more piles of stones at the edge of the land. It was slow work. It was boring work. Sometimes he wanted to stop. He wanted to go play with his friends, but then he closed his eyes. He saw the picture in his mind. The red flowers, the yellow flowers, the happy butterflies. And so he kept working. Day after day, he cleared the stones. After 1 week, all the big stones and most of the small stones were gone. The land looked different. It was still not pretty, but it was clear. Now it was time for the weeds. The weeds were everywhere. Some were tall with little yellow flowers. Some were short and grew close to the ground. They had strong roots. The roots went deep into the dry earth. Leo took his small shovel. He tried to pull one tall weed. The top part broke off in his hand. The root was still in the ground. He knew that was not good. The weed would grow back. So he used his shovel. He dug around the weed. He made the dirt loose. Then he took the weed at the bottom and pulled slowly. He pulled and pulled. The root came out of the ground. It was a long, white root. Success. He put the whole weed in a pile. He looked at all the other weeds. There were hundreds, maybe thousands. He took a deep breath. He dug around another weed. He pulled. It came out. He did it again, and again, and again. This work was harder than the stones. His hands got sore. The little thorns on some weeds pricked his fingers. Ouch! He was very careful. He dug. He pulled. He made a pile of weeds. The pile grew bigger and bigger. It was a green mountain of weeds. He worked every day. Some days it was very hot. The sun made him sweat. He drank a lot of water. Some days it was cloudy. That was a little better. He just kept working. Dig, pull, pile, dig, pull, pile. His friends came by. Leo, what are you doing? That is so much work. Come and play. Leo smiled. He was tired. He wanted to play. But he said, I am making a garden. I will play later. His friends did not understand. They ran off to play their games. Leo watched them for a moment. He felt a little lonely. Then he looked at the ground. He saw the clear patch he had made. It was getting bigger every day. He felt that warm feeling in his heart again, so he went back to work. After another long week, all the weeds were gone. The land was now clear of stones and weeds. It was just a big patch of flat, brown, hard earth. It still did not look like a garden. It looked empty. Leo knew the work was not finished. It was just the beginning. The ground was too hard. The plants could not grow in hard ground. He needed to make the soil soft and good. He took his shovel. He pushed it into the ground. It did not go in very deep. The ground was like a rock. He pushed with his foot on the shovel. It went in a little more. He lifted the shovel. A small piece of hard dirt came up. He dropped it. It broke into hard clumps. He hit the clumps with his shovel. They broke into smaller clumps. Oh, this was going to be very, very hard work. He took another piece of dirt with his shovel, and another. His arms started to ache. His shoulders were sore. This was the hardest work of all. He had to turn over all the dirt on the whole piece of land. Day after day, he dug. The shovel went into the hard ground. He lifted the dirt. He turned it over. He broke the big clumps. He felt like a machine. A very slow, very tired machine. While he was working, an old man from the town walked by. The old man walked with a stick. He stopped and watched Leo. "That is hard work for a young boy," the old man said. Leo stopped and wiped his face. "Yes, it is," Leo said. "What are you making?" the old man asked. "I am making a garden," Leo said. The old man looked at the hard, brown dirt. He did not see a garden. But he saw the look in Leo's eyes. It was a strong look. "A garden needs good soil," the old man said. "This soil is old and tired. You need to give it food." The next day, the old man came back. He had a big bag. It was a bag of compost. It was dark, rich soil. It smelled like the earth after rain. "Put this in your soil," the old man said. "It will help." Leo was so thankful. He took the bag and mixed the dark, rich soil with his hard, brown dirt. He used his shovel and his hands. The ground started to look better. It was not so pale and dry. It was getting dark and soft. Leo bought more bags of good soil with his pocket money. He carried them to his land. He mixed and mixed and mixed. It was still hard work, but now it was different. He was not just taking bad things away. He was adding good things. He was making the ground healthy. Finally, after many weeks of work, the land was ready. It was a big, flat square of soft, dark soil. There were no stones. There were no weeds. The ground was ready for life. Leo stood and looked at his work. The land was transformed. It was not the sad, ugly place it was before. It was a place of possibility. It was a clean page, waiting for a story. Leo went to a small shop. He bought packets of seeds. They were small paper packets with pictures on the front. Some had pictures of bright red flowers. Some had pictures of sunny yellow flowers. Some had pictures of beautiful blue flowers. He also bought seeds for vegetables. Seeds for red, round tomatoes. Seeds for long, orange carrots. Seeds for green, crunchy lettuce. He held the small packets in his hand. It was amazing to think that a big, beautiful flower could come from one tiny, tiny seed. He went back to his garden. The sun was warm but not too hot. A gentle wind was blowing. It was a perfect day for planting. He opened a packet of seeds. He poured them into his hand. They were so small. They were like little black dots. He made a long, straight line in the soft soil with his finger. It was not very deep. He then took the seeds one by one. He put a seed in the line. Then he moved his finger a little bit. He put another seed. He was very careful. He gave each seed its own little space. He did this for the whole line. Then he gently covered the seeds with soil. He patted the soil down very softly with his hand. He had planted his first row. He felt a quiet joy. He did this again with the yellow flower seeds. He made another line. He put the tiny seeds in the earth. He covered them. Then he did it for the blue flowers, and the tomatoes, and the carrots, and the lettuce. He made many neat rows. When he was finished, the sun was going down. The garden looked the same. It was still just a patch of dark soil. The seeds were hidden under the ground. They were a secret. No one could see them, but Leo knew they were there. He knew his job was not over. Now came the most important part. The seeds needed water. He had a green watering can. He filled it with water from a tap nearby. He walked carefully to his garden. He tilted the can. Water came out in a gentle shower. He watered the first row. The water made the dark soil even darker. He could smell the clean, wet earth. He watered all the rows. He made sure all the secret seeds got a drink. He went back and filled his can again and again. He wanted the ground to be nice and damp, but not too wet. The next day, Leo came back. The sun was in the sky. He had his water can. He filled it with water. The water was cool. He walked to his garden. He poured the water on the ground. The dry ground drank the water. He did this for a long time. Then the can was empty. He went back to get more water. He did this again and again. His arms were tired. The next day, he did the same thing, and the next day, and the next day. This was a new kind of work. It was not heavy like moving rocks. It was not painful like pulling weeds. It was a quiet, daily promise. Every day, he came and gave the seeds water. He had to be patient. Nothing happened for a long time. 1 week passed. The seeds were still under the ground. Leo did not see anything. He still watered the ground. He started to worry a little. Did the seeds work? Was he doing it right? He just kept watering. 2 weeks passed. Still nothing. The ground was just brown dirt. Leo felt a little sad. He had worked so hard. Maybe it was for nothing. He sat by his garden. He thought about stopping. It would be easy to stop. But then he remembered the picture in his mind, the beautiful garden. He remembered how it felt to clear the stones and pull the weeds. He had come so far. He could not give up now. So the next day, he got his green watering can. He filled it with water. He watered his garden. He did it the day after that, too. And then, one morning, something was different. Leo was looking at the ground, at the first row where he planted the red flowers. And he saw something. It was very, very small. It was a tiny loop of green. It was not a weed. He knew what a weed looked like. This was different. It was a tiny little plant pushing its way out of the earth. It was a sprout. It was his plant. Leo's heart was so happy. He kneeled down to look at it. It was so small and so brave. He smiled a very big smile. He looked very carefully over the whole garden. He saw another one, and another. Tiny green things were starting to appear all over his garden. His seeds were growing. It was working. His hard work was working. This new sight gave him new energy. Now he was excited to come to his garden every day. He watered his little green sprouts very carefully. He also had a new job. Little weeds started to grow again. He had to pull them out. He was very careful not to pull out his little plants. He learned the shape of his plant's leaves. He knew which ones were friends and which ones were weeds. Every day, the little plants grew. They got a little bigger. They got a little taller. First, they had 2 small leaves. Then they grew more leaves. The stems got stronger. Leo watched them like a father watches his children. He was so proud of every new leaf. The weeks passed. The sun and the water and the good soil were doing their job. The small sprouts were not small anymore. They were real plants. The tomato plants were getting tall. The lettuce plants were making big green leaves. The carrot tops were like green feathers. The flower plants were growing tall and strong. Leo was busy every day. He watered them. He pulled the weeds. He talked to his plants. He told them they were doing a good job. People from the town started to notice. They saw the green patch of land. "Look," they said, "that empty land is not empty anymore. The boy, Leo, he is growing something." They were curious. They would stop and watch him work. The old man with the stick came by often. He would nod his head and smile. "You are doing good work, son," he would say. "A garden teaches patience." And then the most wonderful day came. Leo arrived at his garden in the morning. He was looking at the row of red flowers, and he saw it. A small bud at the top of a plant had opened. It was a flower, a beautiful, bright red flower. It was like a little jewel in the green garden. Leo could not stop looking at it. It was the first flower. His flower. The flower he had worked so for. The next day there were 3 red flowers. And a yellow one had opened in the next row. Soon the garden was full of color. Red, yellow, blue flowers were everywhere. They danced in the wind. The garden was beautiful. It was just like the picture in his mind, but it was even better because it was real. Butterflies came. They flew from flower to flower. Bees came, they buzzed happily. Little birds came and sang songs. The garden was not just beautiful, it was alive, and the vegetables were growing too. The tomato plants grew little yellow flowers. After the flowers, little green balls started to grow. The little green balls got bigger and bigger. Then they started to change color. They went from green to orange and then to a beautiful bright red. They were tomatoes, real tomatoes. Leo picked one. It was warm from the sun. It was heavy in his hand. He wiped it on his shirt and he took a bite. The taste was incredible. It was sweet and juicy. It was the best tomato he had ever tasted in his whole life. He pulled a carrot from the ground. He washed it with his water can. He took a bite. It was so crunchy and sweet. He ate the lettuce. It was so fresh. He had grown his own food. He could eat from his garden. He had so many vegetables. He filled a basket with tomatoes and carrots and lettuce. He took it home to his family. They were so surprised and so proud. They made a big salad. Everyone said it was the best salad they had ever eaten. Leo shared his food with his friends. The same friends who had asked him to play, they ate the sweet carrots. They said, "Wow, Leo, you made this." Leo just smiled. He gave vegetables to the old man with the stick. The old man smiled a big, happy smile. "You see," he said, "the earth gives back what you give it." The garden became a famous spot in the town. People would walk by just to see the beautiful flowers. They would smell the sweet air. They would see the butterflies and hear the birds. The garden made people happy. The sad, empty land was now a place of joy and life. One evening, Leo was sitting in his garden. The sun was going down. The colors of the flowers were soft in the evening light. He was not working. He was just sitting. He sat on the grass that he had planted around the edges. He looked at his hands. They were not the same hands he had at the beginning. They were stronger. They had little calluses from the shovel. They were the hands of a gardener. He looked at his beautiful, living garden. He thought about the very first day. He remembered the big land full of stones and weeds. He remembered how tired he was. He remembered his sore back and his aching arms. He remembered pushing that one big rock. He remembered pulling the long roots of the weeds. He remembered the long, patient days of watering the empty ground. It was so much hard work. It was so many hours. It was so many days. But now, sitting in his beautiful place, he did not feel the memory of the hard work as a bad thing. He felt proud. He knew that every single stone he moved and every single weed he pulled was a step towards this beautiful moment. Every drop of water he carried was a promise to these flowers. All that hard work in the past was a gift. It was a gift he gave to himself, to the boy sitting here right now. The boy in the past was tired, but the boy in the present was so happy and so proud. The boy in the past worked hard, so the boy in the future could sit in a beautiful garden and eat a sweet tomato. He understood now. All that effort, all that patience was worth it. It was more than worth it. He had not just built a garden. He had built something inside himself. He had learned how to work hard. He had learned how to be patient. He had learned that small, everyday actions can create something wonderful and big over time. The sad, empty land was now a happy, full garden, and the little boy with an idea was now a proud young gardener who knew a very important secret about life. And Leo knew, sitting in his beautiful, living garden, that he had given a wonderful gift to his future, and his future was thanking him right now.